What's going on, y'all? What's going on? It's your boy Gemini Berserker back up in here again. Well, yeah, for the first time and again, doing a video on what I would call a reflection so far. A reflection on what, you may ask, I guess. You wouldn't be able to tell, but you probably could. A reflection based on Injustice 2 as so far as in regarding to the Fighter Pack 1, which included, if you don't know, Red Hood aka Jason Todd, Sub-Zero aka Bihan, or no, not Bihan, but whatever, which one it is, Sub-Zero, and then Coriander aka Starfire. So, for those of you that aren't well aware or are aware of, these are the fighters. So Red Hood, Sub-Zero, and Starfire, to be just blunt about it. Those were the first DLC characters to hit the Injustice 2 scene. And so what I want to basically reflect upon is their impact on the game, their usage in the game, and their overall impact on the Injustice 2 community. So leading off with it as first would of course be Red Hood, Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, former Robin. So with his addition being the first fighter in Fighter Pack 1, a lot of people were actually very happy and glad about it, but the speculation came from, if you hadn't watched the Red Hood reaction video I did to, well, the analysis video I did, is that most people were afraid of having another Deadshot in the game, which, to be fair, was an honest fear. A lot of people early in the days when he first got released, we were still working around the whole Deadshot zone thing, which, for those of you that, if you don't remember, included him gaining meter as he, even if you defended, if he hit you, he gained meter, and if you defended, he gained even more meter. So I can understandably see where the stress would come from with that, and thankfully we didn't get a character like that. We got a very close range, a very good mid-close range fighter who, even though Ken has the option to zone, most people don't play him as is, because even with the zoning, if you try to, it's very baited. Like, you can easily see what people are planning as far as that. There's a lot of good setups with the mine, a lot of defending options with the stars. Now, with that being said, out of a 10, I think his total impact on it, a lot of people have played him. You see a lot of people committed. The people that you see now are the committed Red Hood players, such as myself. I love Red Hood. I love playing as him. I think he's a very good player, well, a character. And with that being said, I think out of a 10, I think his overall impact on the game has been very impactful as far as people playing him. I think as far as lore point, it is putting more into it as far as his interactions with certain characters. And I just think as a whole, his being in the game was well deserved. And with that being said, I think at the point, I would give it an 8 as far as impact in the game. Now, moving on to Sub-Zero. Now, Sub-Zero, for the most part, most of you don't know, is just a promotional thing. The way I see it, or the way I described it, is that in the first one, they gave us Scorpion because he was, it was just a kind of a crossover thing, and it was also for promotional purposes too, because I think MKX had just been announced, and they were like, hey, you know what, as a special treat, we're gonna give you guys Scorpion and Lobos and whatever other extra characters. We're not even gonna get into that, but so yes, with that being said, so far, I mean, in the first early week of his release, you saw a lot of people playing Sub-Zero, but like I said in my last video with the Starfire thing, I didn't honestly care too much for playing him, because if I wanted to play him like that, I mean, I could, and if I really wanted to get serious with him, I'd go to Mortal Kombat, where he was more predominant at and has a better range of ability in his fighting. Now, don't get me wrong, they did an excellent job with him. I feel like he does out-hit a lot of people. Like, he is a very fast character. I mean, his moveset isn't bad. He has actually an extensive combo list that chains into a lot of his specials, and a lot of his specials, vice versa. So with that being said, I think, you know, even as far as lore, they even still make the connection to the not so great game Mortal Kombat versus DC, where, for those of you who don't know, same general rule, it was more of a Mortal Kombat game meets DC characters. So you had Dark Khan, which was a fusion of Darkseid and Shao Kahn, and their overall goal was to merge the two realms and take control over both. Now, with Sub-Zero's certain dialogues, he makes reference to this and saying, I remember when we fought you to stop the realms from merging if you fight Darkseid. Batman remembers him, well, not so remembers him, but Bihan, which was the first Sub-Zero, which I guess he was technically in that game and died in 9. And he retorts with saying, I am his younger brother, and he goes, prove it to me. So, with that being said, I think even in the lore verse, so it is canon that Mortal Kombat versus DC did happen, even though a lot of us would like to forget it. Now, with that being said, his moveset is very amazing. His moveset is very sleek, is very stylish. It's not too much of anything. Like I said, his impact as far as just the canonical universe hasn't been too much aside from just one game. There hasn't been any other instances aside from that. They haven't made any reference to Scorpion being in the universe beforehand. So I'm not sure. I mean, if they would have mentioned something, I think that would have probably improved his character a lot more if he was like looking for him or something. But aside from that, I think his overall being in the game is pretty good. I'm not saying he's so far. He was the least anticipated character, I feel, in the first fighter pack. I believe a lot more people were excited for Red Hood and Starfire, being the fact that neither one of these characters had like been in a fighting game per se. Now we all know Red Hood was in Arkham Knight, which I'm currently playing. I'm just not recording it, playing it for leisure. But yes, we all know that. For those of you that don't know, spoilers, I'm sorry. In the Arkham Knight, he is the Arkham Knight. He's just hiding himself. He came back to Gotham because he wanted revenge on Batman for letting him die. So aside from that instance, we really don't get any other, you know, airtime with these characters outside of like shows and like animated movies and such, such as Teen Titans and Under the Red Hood with both of them. So that's just it. As far as yes, as far as Sub-Zero's impact, I would probably give it a you know, probably a 6. Honestly, I'd give it a 6 just based on the fact that even though his canonical appearance in Mortal Kombat vs. DC still happened, he still remembers, or quote unquote remembers, and that he still has interactions with like Batman and stuff. He has pretty good interactions with Red Hood, and mostly any of like real fighters, so like Black Canary, Red Hood, Robin, Batman, any of the people that actually do like martial arts and stuff in the game, he has a very good thing with. So like I said, 6 out of 10, not too bad. I just feel like he could have been done a little better in my defense. But as far as just playstyle, he's very good. Alright, now moving on to the last article of, well, not the last article, there's going to be a few things after this. My next point in case would be Starfire. Now, Starfire, as I just mentioned, outside of media, outside of the Teen Titans show and the comics, she doesn't get really a lot of spot time. So now, with this being said, her being in the Injustice universe is heavily strong due to the fact that, you know, her connection to a lot of the characters are very deep, and, you know, she's this caring Tamaran, which, you know, it deepens her character a lot in the game, because as far as in the fighter pack or in just the character roster in general right now, she has the best intro dialogue with 90% of the roster. Like, just for example, I may have talked about it in the previous video. Most of her lines are having to deal with her, and this is apparently in a point in her life where she's still trying to cope with the fact that Dick Grayson is dead. Now, he was killed by accident in defense by Damian Wayne, aka the current Robin. So if you didn't watch the trailer, she says, I want nothing to do with Dick Grayson's killer, and he responds with, it was an accident. Now, she has very hostile feelings towards Green Lantern, Flash, Superman, and those are like, and Wonder Woman. Those are like anybody that was pretty much a part of the regime in the universe, she has a lot of problems with because she feels like they betrayed her. Now, questionable enough, she has no malice towards Cyborg, which hilariously enough is kind of the opposite. Since I guess she still wants to believe that he's still good in a sense, even though he was part of the regime. But her overall being in the in the Injustice universe is very impactful. You feel a lot of emotion if you guys listen to the intro dialogue. She has very witty intro dialogues with a lot of characters. That's what I like about her. Not only is it heartfelt, it's witty. It makes sense a lot from certain characters, like who just don't have any like purpose of being like having said what they say to certain characters. It usually doesn't make sense. Like I think I was playing earlier, and I was doing a multiverse event, and I was playing Robin, and I fought Swamp Thing, and he was like, my grandfather told me a lot about. He was like, my grandfather told me about you. He was like, Ra's al Ghul is a offender of the green. He was like, yeah, he told me that if I ever found you, I should kill you. I was like, that seems very unlikely that Ra's would have anything to do with Swamp Thing, like, or they would even know about each other. I just feel like that's very far off from like just where they would be in comparison. I'm just saying that as what it sounds like and what it's looking like. So as far as Starfire, like I said in the previous video, she's very good. Like her overall just natural talent in the game is amazing. She has very good zone tactics, but she also has very good close range fighting abilities and very good combos. Like a lot of her base combos usually chains into each other, and then with that being said, like her basic combos chain into certain specials, and then other specials can be led into more specials, which I think is a very good character development. As far as very good character, what do I want to say? As far as character, just playability, she has a high playability. I've seen a lot of people playing her so far, and I think, maybe she might be taking it at a competitive level. It's hard to say right now because I don't think there's any real tournaments going on right now. But you know, it's hard to say. As far as her impact goes, I would say she gets about eight. As far as just putting her right ahead of Red Hood is giving her a 9 just based on those interactions. And that's just how I feel. That's my reflection. So far, I feel like the game is going very well. I feel like it's moving in a good pace as far as character release. Thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.